Hey everyone, Nick here. Today I'm going to be knapping an Obsidian arrowhead. To start, I've picked a piece of mahogany obsidian that'll be big enough for a point. This cobble should yield about 2 or 3 arrowheads. I'm going to start off doing some percussion work with a lead-filled copper bopper. After figuring out where I'm going to strike first, I bring the leather pad up to protect my hand and to give my first strike. So even though that flake broke into 2 pieces, you can see I have a nice flat face. So I'm using a braided stone to give myself a little extra grip and prepare another platform. And now I'm going to try and break off a slab-like piece. I'm happy with this flake because it's pretty flat with a small bulb of percussion. So now I'm just abrading it with a stone. This is to keep the edges from crushing when I work on it. Now when I start doing percussion, what I'm trying to do is remove large flakes where I've already established a platform or a striking surface, and then do little small nibbling strokes to establish a platform on the other side. And most of this is just going back and forth, establishing platforms and then striking them to remove material. So I'm just going around the piece, thinning it out as I go. When you're working a flake or a slab with square edges, you want to do what's called upstairs, downstairs, or zigzagging, where you basically take flakes on either side until it becomes a sharp edge. After a few nibbling strokes, I've got a nice triangular point. From here I take a combination of thinning and nibbling strokes to refine the edge and make it a little thinner. It's still a little thick, so I'm just going and hitting all the low spots. You want to make sure that when striking your platforms, that the platforms are below the center line. Striking a platform that's too high could break the piece, and striking one that's too low could cause an overshot flake, which could take out the other side of your piece. So it's good to be pretty close to your center line. Now my point is pretty close to its finished shape. I'm just going to go in and knock off all of the high spots. So again, I'm only striking surfaces that are just a little bit below the center line. So now it's time to work on the back of the point. Now when you're doing this, you want to make sure to support the very end of the piece and not to put a lot of pressure in the center, as you could snap it. Now I personally like to thin the back of the arrowhead after I've pretty much finished my knapping, because it's easier for me to carry a flake a longer distance. When it's thicker, I tend to have a lot of fractures, so this is what works for me, even though you're more likely to snap a piece if you're working the back after it's finished. I'm going to go through and just take a few more flakes just to thin it out and bring it down to the finished shape. So now that the arrowhead's pretty much finished, it's time for pressure flaking. I'm using a rubber pad and a copper pressure flaker to push off small little flakes. From here I'm just working down both sides of the point, making sure that the edges are aligned and that any issues are resolved now. I'm also trying to smooth out the flake pattern so that they're much more even. Now I'm using copper, but you could also use bone, antler, or a soft nail for this. Now that the edges are finished, I go to the base of the arrowhead and just clean it up. Now it's time to notch the arrowhead. Using my pressure flaker, I start by making a small indentation near the base, and then flip it around and drive off a flake. Once my first notch is to the depth I want, I flip it over and I work on the second. Once they're both even, I finish off the point by using the edge of my pressure flaker to sort of shear off the edges. This toughens the edges and makes them less likely to break. It also gives the edges a nice uniform appearance so they're not jagged. And here's the arrowhead all finished up. If you like this video and what I'm doing, be sure to check out my channel, and I've also written some books and I've got links to those in the description below. In the next video, I'll show you how I make an arrowhead pendant. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.